G'day and welcome to the Grow a Small Business Podcast. I'm your host, Troy Truen. Each week, we speak with an owner who has grown a business with 5 to 30 team members to something bigger. Diving into their numbers and unearthing the pain they've experienced, we explore what they did to overcome each barrier and what they would do differently from day one. Let's get into it. Welcome, everyone. Today I'm interviewing Rocco Carriero from Rocco A, Carriero Wealth Advisory. He's a business owner, author, and a speaker based in Southampton, beautiful New York state. So thanks for your time today, Rocco.
Thanks for having me.
Let's start with how we know each other. That's Gunnar from Scribe. They helped you get your most recent book published. He put us in touch.
Yep, I'm working with Scribe actually on my second book, which is coming out probably in the first quarter of next year. And so I connected with Gunnar through Scribe through the first book that I did, and so they've been phenomenal in helping me get this second one out and about next year.
Yeah, I've heard great things about Scribe. We've had a few guests on that have written books with them, and they speak highly of them. So the first book you wrote was 3 Chords Approach to Life and Wealth Management for Business Owners.
That's right,
isn't it? Yeah.
Yep. That was a Forbes publication. That was that first book was done through Forbes. Yep.
Great. We'll link through that in the show notes. Maybe just give the audience a bit of a run through or background on that at a high level on that book.
So yeah, the 3 Chords Approach to Life and Wealth Management for Business Owners really is a kind of like it's like a book on financial advice, comprehensive planning, but woven in it are the 3 most important areas of a business owner's life. This is what represents the 3 chords. It's themselves as a business owner, themselves as a family person, and of course themselves as a practitioner, business owner, family person, and themselves as an individual. Those represent the 3 chords. So the ideas around the 3 important areas of business owner's life are woven into the chapters that tie in with comprehensive financial planning.
I think that's great and really pertinent for our audience, because a lot of business owners can be out of balance in those 3 areas at various stages of their business career. So I think it's a good reminder. I'm certainly going to grab the book and read it. And also with wealth management outside of building wealth just with your business, I think it's really important for business owners to think about that and then act on it.
If you just focus on one of the 3, the reason why I wrote the book is because I been working with business owners for about 25 years in the wealth management space. And I saw that most business owners were really good at 2 out of 3 areas. If they were really good with things in their own personal life, like great fitness, focused on themselves, and they were really good at, being a terrific family person, their business might have suffered. Or they were really good at their business and they were really good at themselves, their family suffered. Or, again, we always saw 2 out of 3 being done successfully, but the people that really achieved true wealth were successful in all 3 areas: themselves, their family lives, and their business professional life as well.
And from your experience, which of those 3 would you say people are the weakest on?
I would say from all of the entrepreneurs that I've gotten to meet over the years, I would say themselves as an individual, where they don't necessarily, they don't take as good care of themselves. They're worried about their family. They're worried about their businesses. They're worried about their employees. They're not as worried about themselves. So that's the area that would be the thinnest of the chords that I've seen.
Yeah, I see it all the time. People forgo their physical fitness, but also their mental fitness as well, to have a break, have enough holidays and get away from, because running your own business, most people love it and love what they do, but can also be quite addictive and not necessarily good for your own personal balance. So it's good to get away and particularly to exercise.
It's hard. And I wrote the book on it. It's really, really difficult. But you got to build it into your calendar. If you build it into your calendar, that you've got a much higher success rate of actually doing things for yourself.
That's right. Make it a habit. And have you heard the Stephen Covey story of the fish tank and the rocks, etc.?
I don't think I have.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the fish tank, the different rocks when they put in like rocks, pebbles, sand. Yes, I have heard that. It's a great story.
It is a great story. So one of those rocks should be obviously your own health, physical and mental. Make sure you got time for both those things. Put in the fish tank first, and the pebble and the sand, all the other shit you've got to get done will get done. But that's a rock in your life. Yeah. Tell our audience a bit about your business, what it does and how it makes money.
So, in the wealth management business, I have a independent financial advisory practice that we've got about 13 people on our team. We're managing close to $750 million in assets.
Wow.
Started just about a little over 20 years ago. No clients, no real base, and client by client. Here we are, a little over 20 years later. We have developed and we've built one of the most successful financial advisory practices in all of the Hamptons.
Wow, fantastic. And tell us how you started out.
I started out by doing different types of educational workshops. I did cold calling, called a lot of business owners. And if whoever was willing to see me at whatever time, I'd go there and I'd sit with them. And I started providing value, and then business owners were talking with each other, and it was one referral after the next. And it's been 20 years of getting referrals and recommendations, which has led us to this point.
And what were you doing before you started the business?
Before I was in this business, I worked for a company that produced magazines, and I sold advertising space to professionals that wanted to market to individuals that might have been selling or buying a home. So I got a lot of great experience in working with people from that part of my career path. But entering into this business with no real assets, no real, and I didn't really have the personal money myself to build a company, and so through credit cards and credit lines and investments and scraping and saving, trying to figure things out. That's what it's the classic story of the small business owner doing whatever they got to do to make it happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And 20 years ago, what age were you when you decided to make the jump to be a business owner?
I was 26, and I'll be 48 in this coming October. So it's been a little over 22 years, and it's been great. I've learned a lot, been able to help a lot of people, which is one of my natural one of my one of the things that I do naturally. I enjoy helping people, and so providing financial advice and helping people achieve their goals has been a perfect fit for me.
And did you start out focusing on business owners to help them, with their wealth management, or was there a time, an inflection point where you decided to niche down into that market?
I originally started trying to work with people that wanted to do retirement planning. So it's either pre-retired, just retired, anybody. So if you worked at a company, this is something that you wanted to do. And then over time, it evolved to working with more complex cases, and a lot of the complex cases revolved around business owners. And I was a business owner. I enjoy talking to business owners. I was able to help the business owner most. And so that's where I dove in and said, okay, this is going to be our market. This is who we're going to support and who we're going to work with.
Great. And do you have some key numbers that illustrate the growth of the business? So I assume it was just one FTE yourself when you started. You're up to about 13 now, and you've got $750 million under management. Any other numbers on the growth?
Yeah, I'm always striving for, the practice has had probably over 20% growth year over year, compounded over time.
Wow.
And while we started with basically $0 in assets under management, we're basically at $750 million, and we're looking to go to $3 billion over the next 10 years.
That's audacious.
So our gross revenue growth has been in excess of 20+%. And so the way that the only way to achieve that is through developing, right? Developing as a leader, adding more people into your team and your organization. That's the way you really got to grow today, is focus on being an effective leader in your organization.
Absolutely. Yeah. When was the moment you felt like you'd succeeded?
I would say, as a self-made business owner guy, I don't think you ever really feel like you've succeeded. And I ask this to a lot of the entrepreneurs that we work with. They're always on the edge of their chair. They don't really view themselves as being successful. But there has been times in my career, whether it was the first time I was on television talking about the markets, or, you know, or whether it was really sitting with a client and really seeing, the years of working together and them achieving their goals, feeling successful, saying, you know what, they've been working with us. If it wasn't for us, we were able to help them achieve their goals. So, to this day, 22 years into doing this, I can't tell you that I feel like a big success story. I know that we've been successful as a team, right? And we've got a successful organization, but feeling that the high level of success, I think when a person really feels that they've arrived, that might be when it's over.
Yeah. And what does success look like to you?
What success looks like to me is seeing helping people achieve, seeing the people achieve what they're looking to achieve as a result of them having a relationship with our office. And so when I see them get what they want for themselves and achieve their goals, I feel successful.
Number one thing you'd recommend to marketing a fast-growing business? 20% compound over 22 years. Rocco, that's amazing growth. Well done.
I think the secret is to developing your leadership skills.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't effectively lead people, you're not going to be able to grow. You have to lead your clients. You have to develop a team. You have to lead your support team. So leadership, and it's a buzzword. Everybody's talking about leadership, but real leadership is really developing. It's about transferring your skill. It's about leading. It's about helping people get what they want for themselves. It's about building a culture. It's about growth, obviously. And that's probably one of my most favorite areas to continue to develop and study. I work great with clients. I can acquire clients. I'm really, never had really a major issue with marketing, but the idea around developing leadership has been probably one of the toughest areas to develop. And I think that's where most business owners struggle.
Yeah. We'll talk about people and culture in a moment, but I expect for your business in particular, having the right people on the team, developing them, leading them is even more important because of, the rest of the team also has to have those relationships with your clients and give a very good impression and a great service at the same time. So I could imagine that's pivotal. And because you're getting a lot of your clients through referrals, I can understand how the leadership and managing and recruiting the right people is core to your marketing.
It is. That is, clients, when they come in, they want to see who's on your team, right? They want to know who's on your team, who they're going to be talking to. Are they professional? I mean, the first element in business is that, do I like you? Do you like me? That's the first part. But if they like you, but they don't think that you could execute, you're not going to pick up the client. You're not going to do the business. It's really both. Got to have the skill set, got to have the qualified team, and you got to like the people that you're doing business with as well. Yeah,
absolutely. And how did you fund your business? Anything else other than credit cards and line of credit? No investors or?
No investors. And I would do these educational workshops, and they would cost money, and I didn't really have the money to pay for it. So I said, okay, well, how am I going to pay for this? And so American Express, Visa, MasterCard, they were big helps in helping me to grow the business. And then I was able to establish credit lines and the use of credit lines. And it's, credit, if it's used responsibly, is a big leverage point to businesses. Credit could also be used irresponsibly.
Yes.
And so, and it's risk. Listen, it's risky. You're taking on risk, but I was willing to work night and day to make sure that I made this happen.
If you were to start up today with plenty of funding, would you go into your industry?
If I had plenty of, I would have definitely went into this industry still. I love this industry, and it is, it's a terrific business. If people are interested in the markets, doing financial planning, helping people, it's a great, helping to the dollars that we invest to help companies and employees. So it's I would absolutely still be in this business. If I could have chose anything with funding, I would have chose this.
Yeah, I can really hear your passion for it. Can you outline the most stressful point in your small business journey so our audience can learn from it?
There was a point many years ago where I was having difficulty with team members and employees. I was trying to grow, and I had a team member that would sabotage it and chase the people away. So there came a day where I had three team members, and I fired them all in the same week. So I went from having 3 support team members to none.
Oh.
And I had nobody. It was just me. And I had to do everything. And I said, okay, I would rather work 15, 20 hours a day, 7 days a week than to deal with that. And so I retooled. I learned I have to learn how to hire the right people better. I've got to become a student of it. And I got to work hard at developing those people. And that was probably the most stressful point in my career. And I learned a lot by going through it.
Yeah, a lot of business owners get gun shy and just revert to being a sole, operator effectively. But I really like your attitude to that. Like you said, you became a student of management or recruitment to get the right people on. How long was it before you hired again?
Okay, so I would say that after I let the 3 people go, it took me about 90 days to get the first new person on board. And then right after that, it was kind of like the pieces were falling in place. But I really knew what I was looking for, and I knew what I wanted to hire. I used a tool. It's called the Kolbe Index, KOLBE.com.
Mm-hmm.
Kathy Kolbe invented it, and it's something called a Kolbe Right Fit. So we have our team, everybody that on our team has a Kolbe score. So we have a Kolbe Right Fit team, and which helps to identify people's innate ability in making decisions. And that's been real helpful as well in building out the team.
Great. What area in business do you feel you've had to work on the most to add the greatest value?
Leadership, management, leadership, and developing a team. That is, anybody in business could acquire one client off one at a time, but it's the building out a team of people is the area that I've had to work on the most. And I'm really enjoying it. I'm enjoying it. We'll be up to probably 20 team members by the end of the year.
Oh, fantastic. It's one of my sayings, people are the hardest thing in small business and where the value's at, because unless you're a highly paid entertainer, you can't really do it on your own. And you need that team, as you said, to build the team out to be able to grow. What have you enjoyed?
That's the future.
Yeah, sorry.
That is the future of business. If business owners don't have the ability to lead and develop a team, they're going to have a tough time growing. I mean, that's just the way it is today.
Yeah, and effectively, they've really just bought themselves a job, as Gerber talks about in the E-Myth.
So true. So true.
What have you enjoyed the least about managing fast growth?
I would say the area that I've enjoyed least around managing fast growth has been probably it's the trying to figure out what position is needed next that's going to add the most amount of leverage in trying to make that right decision. So, human capital and having the right people in the right seats and picking the right next employee has probably been, one of the hardest things, today.
What do you love most about growing a small business?
I love the excitement of working with a team at moving towards the vision. We have a vision, mission, code of behavior in our organization, and our team is a purpose-driven team, not a paycheck-driven team. And so this purpose, I'm really enjoying seeing this purpose-driven team work towards our vision. And we just updated our vision. We hit the vision that we were striving for over the past 5 years. Now we've created a bigger vision for the whole group.
I love that, what you've just said, purpose-driven team, not paycheck-driven team. I'm going to use that.
That's us.
What's been the biggest mindset shift for you in your small business growth journey?
It is without question, developing as a leader. You hear about it, but I didn't necessarily buy into it. But I was kind of stuck, right? I was getting stuck at a particular business level. And once I became somewhat of an effective leader, our business results just exploded. That's really been the catalyst in what we're doing.
What is the number one habit you think a small business owner needs to develop and maintain?
It is the habit of learning, the habit of leading their clients and leading their team. If they can do both of those effectively, they'll develop a great business.
Jump over to growasmallbusiness.com and leave your details to get a short 2-minute email I send on Fridays to help small business owners like you become better leaders. I include some reading or professional development resources I've discovered in the last week.
Now, this question, I think there's going to be a lot of gold in this for the audience, these next two questions. So can you talk to how you've added people to the team, some wins, mistakes, and advice for those listening?
Well, we have put ads in newspapers. We've worked with recruiters. We've used different websites, and we interviewed somebody today who I think we may bring them on as a new team member, and they came from one of the recruiting search engine tools, and so you gotta put as many feelers out there as possible. You gotta identify quality recruiters. You got to know where to put ads, and you got to make the capital investments to do so. I mean, people aren't just going to show up. People aren't just going to show up, at your door. You got to put yourself out there in the marketplace. And one of the things I would tell you is that as you're designing your ads to try to attract people, you want to add in the values of your organization. When somebody reads it, they read what your values are as an organization. And if it's their values, they're going to say, oh, they're talking to me. You're going to attract them. Or if it's not their values, you might deter them. You don't really want them part of your group either.
Yeah, great point. What are some things you recommend to building a sustainable and kick-ass culture to help with growth?
The kick-ass cultures, that is such a phenomenal point. We celebrate team members' anniversaries, birthdays, milestones, important things. And it is, as a business owner, you really got to delegate that to a team member to make sure that that's part of their role and responsibility. We don't, as business owners, always think it's an important thing, but I got to tell you, it is part of our culture. The person in our group that does that for our team members was away with her family in Texas for 2 weeks. And we still did some of the things that she would do, but it wasn't the same. The way that she would do it adds to the culture, and with her not being part of it and adding to the culture, it's not as good. So from a cultural standpoint, you got to have a key team member that's almost in charge of practice culture or company culture. Companies that have great cultures are going to produce better results than the ones that don't.
Yeah, absolutely agree with that. I was just vaguing out now. I haven't enough coffee today. I'm just going to ask you a point on that. Oh, that's right. Yeah, look, a lot of business owners, and I certainly fell into this trap early on, don't see the value in celebrating milestones with the team when the business hits something big, or personal milestones, birthdays, anniversaries, births, etc. But it's one of those things that's high perceived value to the team member and low economic cost to us to actually do. Take some time out and celebrate, and it's hugely powerful and impactful for the team member.
Totally. You got to, treat your team members the same way you treat your best clients, right? You take your best clients out to a special dinner. You should take your team members out to a special dinner, right? Team members recognize that, right? And they really appreciate it. They know that you value them and that you care for them. And that, especially today, the number one commodity in business today is human capital. And if you have great human capital, you want to make sure that you're taking care of your people.
Yeah, I totally agree. Tell our audience how you've handled balance.
I still struggle with it, and that's why I wrote the book on it. And the way I handle it is that I write about it. I'm always figuring, I've got a yellow pad always handy. I'm listing out the different things I got to do business wise, things that I've got to do with my family, and things that I got to do for myself. And so I try to make sure that it's in front of me at all times. You got to put the work in, right? We as business owners do business planning. We focus on those different things. You got to do personal planning as well, and you got to do family planning. If you don't do planning in all three of those different areas, you're not going to be successful in all three. You're going to be the most successful in the area that you plan most in. So why not plan in all three?
How much professional development have you invested in yourself over the years? Courses, books, podcasts, conferences, training, etc.
I'm a big believer in investing in education in myself. I try to do personal development programs, read books. I try to do whatever I possibly can do that's going to sharpen the saw. And I enjoy it. I'm a believer in it, and it helps to keep your mind positive, fresh, cutting edge. If business owners are not doing coaching, personal development, reading, they're really missing out.
Yeah. Sharpen the saw. I think that was Covey or an Abraham Lincoln quote, wasn't it? If I've got 6 hours to chop a tree down, I'll spend the first 4 hours sharpening the saw or the axe.
So true. Sometimes we think it's a waste of time. It's not a waste of time. If you pick up one idea from a podcast, I love podcasts. Yeah. Podcasts are phenomenal. I just started listening to your podcast. I really enjoyed it. If you can't listen to one of your podcasts and people can't walk away with 3 ideas, they're really not paying attention.
Absolutely. Yeah. And have you had mentors or coaches along the way?
I've had coaches. I'm working with a leadership development coach that we're working on developing my leadership skills. I've been part of Dan Sullivan's program, the Strategic Coach, as well. And so I'm doing these different things. I'm having a great time, and I'm enjoying the learning and the development. And I spend a lot of time reading, listening to podcasts, audio books. Big believer in all those pieces.
Do you have a board of directors or advisors at the moment?
I don't. Not that I don't. I'm going to try it again. So I had a board of directors at one point, and I found that the board of directors was just, the session turned into like, oh, you're great type session. I wasn't really getting any value out of it.
They weren't challenging.
And so they weren't challenging me. So I'm thinking about doing it again, but bringing a third party person to run the meeting, and whether I won't be there sometimes. So I'm thinking about, I want to do it again, but I'm going to change up the way that I'm doing it right now.
It goes back to the point of recruitment, just how important it is to get the right people around that table. So you want people that are going to challenge you, don't care, very blunt and direct, and are happy that they go the issue, obviously not the person, and they're not there just being sycophants saying how great you are. They're like, what are our goals and our vision? How are we going to get there? And what's getting in the way of us achieving that in, you said $3 billion in the next 5 years.
10 years, 3 billion. We get the 3 billion over the next 10 years.
There we go. Yeah. All right, Rocco, I wanted our final 5 questions. What do you think is the hardest thing in growing a small business?
I would say the hardest thing in growing a small business is developing your team.
Favorite business book which has helped you the most?
I think the book that just came out, Who Not How, that Dan Sullivan did. I thought it was a great book, and I think he did that with Ben Harding, and I thought it was a great book, and I think people should read it.
Any great podcasts or online learning tools you use for your own professional development?
Online learning tools. Let's see. I would say podcasts. Let's see here. Or online learning tools. There's so many great podcasts that are out there. I would say, if you're just looking for one to start with, take a look at one of Dan Sullivan's from Strategic Coach.
One tool you'd recommend to help grow a small business?
The tool would be learn how to create a business plan. And it doesn't have to be a 400-page business plan. It could be 2 or 3 pages. Learning that skill is really important.
Oh my God. Yes. I used to write like 40 or 50 page business plans earlier on in my career. And now they're just down to 1 or 2 pages. You get to the crux of what you're trying to do, what you need to do, and get your focus on what the action is you need to take. Yeah. That's a big trap, I think, for young players in the game.
Yeah.
Finally, my favorite question. What would you tell yourself on day one of starting out?
What would I tell myself day one starting out?
Yep.
Never quit. Never, ever quit. Never, ever quit.
Great. Well, thanks for your time today, Rocco.
No matter how bad it gets. Yep. Never quit.
Well, thanks for your time today, Rocco. I think the audience got a lot of value out of it and really enjoyed speaking with you. And congratulations on the phenomenal growth, not just for yourself, but the wider team as well. I think that's really impressive, and love your attitude to business, that focusing on yourself, developing as a leader and developing your team, that to me, it just really resonates with me. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Troy. Thanks for having me.
And for our audience, we'd greatly appreciate a review in iTunes or whatever platform you listen to us on. More reviews means we bubble up higher in iTunes, etc. So more business owners looking for podcast help with their growth will find us.